mini writing vlog update. Hecate, which I keep calling it Hecate, just like with the Nyx and Erebus book, I just call it Consort. I keep calling it Hecate. It's not a secret, but I don't think it's been like publicly made known. The title of the book is Lost to Witchcraft, but I just keep calling it Hecate instead of like calling it Witchcraft, because then it sounds like I'm just talking about witchcraft, but like calling Consort made more sense. I have just checked and I'm at like 39,000 something words. So basically 40,000 words, which is almost halfway. I think another like 45,000 is halfway. I really wanted to have the book kind of out the first week of June. It is already May 4th. And if I'm halfway, that means I have to like write the other half in like the next 2 weeks to kind of make that happen. So I don't think that's gonna happen, but that's fine. I'm a little more concerned about obviously doing it on my time frame the right way and writing when I feel inspired and excited about it and not like forcing it to happen. I will say so far, I feel like I have a huge, and my writer friends get on me about this too, is like I always have a huge block for like all of Act 1. Like the first 25,000 words, I feel like I just go back and forth like I hate this story so much. And I know I was really, really nervous about the first act of Consort too, and then you know, I thought it was gonna need to be completely overhauled the first half, and then when my friends read it and stuff and my editor read it, they were like, oh, it's fine. Obviously we always make changes in editing, but like it was not overhauled. So I feel like I'm clearly past that. I'm at almost 40,000 words with Hecate, which means I'm absolutely more in my flow. I thought I'd be a little bit more in my flow, especially with these two in their relationship, but the relationship between Hecate and Aetes is so different because Nyx and Erebus were obviously already a couple and like had been a couple for millennia by the time and that's how it focuses, like by the time they're together, you know, like when you come into the story. Hecate and Aetes, they've met, you know, so it's way different because they meet in the very beginning and then it's the story of them kind of coming together, and it's unintentionally turned into a slow burn, but I feel like all Grumpy Sunshines are kind of a slow burn in some way. I know by chapter 4, y'all got spice with Consort, and I think I'm just about to write today the first spice in the book, and it's chapter 17. So you gotta go through like 40,000 words. But little sneak peeks. Their relationship starts off as like pretty much just sex because Aetes is, you know, there's some Grumpy Sunshine happening, as I've said before, so it's very like, well, I'll take what I can get. I can convince you to fall in love with me too, but we'll see how that goes. So, doesn't start until chapter 17, but there's lots of sexy bits planned. So I'm really excited to jump into that. I'm hoping that the build up to the sexy is good. You know, lots of Pride and Prejudice hand flexing. So I'm excited. We also have our like work in progress going with the cover. So that kind of looks like that. I'll throw that up on screen if I can figure out the editing for it. So kind of an also a little sneak peek for you there. I'm obviously working with Saskia, who does all of my covers, and she's been contracted to do all of the Asphodel series. They're gonna look so gorgeous. Consort looked amazing, so just gonna keep on keeping on, doing more writing. I think eventually I wanna put together some of those YouTube videos that are like, write with me, and we'll like actually like have sprint timers and stuff on it. But for now, these are just kind of little author updates so you guys can get an idea of kind of what the process looks like. I think mentally more than anything else. I've talked about my writing, like physical writing process before, like the tools I use, but you know, this is still really, really fun just to kind of give people glimpses of where my head's at. So back to the book. Hecate is at 50,000 words. It is at 50,000 words, which is a lot. I'm so happy. I spent like like I was already saying, like I think what pushed it over that edge might have been that like 4,000 word chapter that I wrote the other day. Typically I keep my chapters like half that size. And we announced the cover today, which is super excited. Obviously it's so gorgeous. I showed you guys that work in progress earlier this week, and now the official cover's been out for like 2 hours now, which is really exciting. I'm hoping that writing the second half of this goes a lot faster than writing the first half. I feel like it's like reading, where sometimes like the first half of a book takes you like 2 months, and then the second half of a book takes you like 2 hours. Sometimes writing is the exact same way for me. It'll take me forever to do like the first chunk, and then I hit my flow. We have like, you know, determined the character dynamics. We're ready to get into the action, and then everything happens so much faster. So I just really love Hecate so much, and I know so many people loved her in the first one. I just really want to make sure that her story's done well and that her character is there and people, you know, recognize her and love her from the first one. And then, you know, she's got a great story here with the ETs. There's not a lot of stories for Hecate, so we've pulled a couple of myths. I think I maybe said that before. So I've, you know, there's an unrelated Greek myth that is unrelated to Hecate. We've pulled into the plot and made it about Hecate. There's also a couple of cameos of characters who were not in Consort, and that's gonna be really fun. I'm so tempted to say, but I think I do want to keep that a surprise. Same with the myths. So today's Friday. I'm gonna relax for a little bit. Fridays are a mixed bag. I always tell myself I'm gonna write a bunch on Friday, and then I'm always like, no, you should relax today, and then that's what I end up doing. So I'm hoping to get some words down. Maybe if I just write 500, that'll like appease me. Fingers crossed. But we've crossed 50,000 words. That's like the hardest part for me, is getting to that point. So I do still really want this to be out in June, but we'll see how that goes. But it's fun. We're moving, we're chugging. She's also just a really fun one to write. Like the banter in this is so much fun for me to write. Like it's probably the funnest one. Well, it's the third book I've done, and now books are getting like funner for me. Maybe that's a natural evolution. I don't know if it's like because of the plot or that's just like a natural evolution. Like I get more comfortable with writing as I do it, so then it becomes more fun. Because I thought Consort was more fun to write than Romanoff, and now I'm like, well, Hecate is more fun to write than Consort. And I think it's because Hecate is so much more of like a bit more of an adventure, and it's more banter and stuff like that. But we'll see, because this one is just so fun to write. And I do think it's maybe not that I'm comfortable. I do think that it's fun to write because these guys are just fun. So we also have a Johnny Depp, not Johnny Depp, like Captain Jack Sparrow, synonymous with Johnny Depp. We have like a Captain Jack Sparrow-esque character in this, who is just like another side character I think you guys are gonna be obsessed with, so. All right, now I've talked enough about this. I've got to jump in and do some writing tonight, so I've convinced myself. I'm so excited. I'm just flipping through Mythology by Edith Hamilton, which is like a classic, the classic interpretation of Greek and Roman mythology. And I found some tidbits in here. So you guys already know, it's already been announced that book 4 of the Asphodel series is actually going to be Orpheus and Eurydice, book 4 in the series. And I'm trying to figure out how to say this without spoiling it. So, because as I've said prior, there are not a lot of Hecate myths, I've found another Greek myth that I really like, and that's the basis for the plot, and I have woven Hecate into it. Well, basically, I found out that Orpheus has a connection to the myth I've chosen for Hecate, which means I get to write him into the Hecate book as a cameo. And we're gonna like, I get to introduce Orpheus in Hecate to kind of set up for book 4, which is super exciting because I did not think that Orpheus was at all connected to the myth that I chose to use for this Hecate book, and he shows up. So I get to write in a cameo for him. I love when this happens. This is why I love doing myth, because you find this kind of stuff, and like then I get to use like my right as an author to kind of interpret and shake it up, and now I get to write in this like super fun cameo for book 4. So it's gonna be great. Like there's tons of stories, well I mean same with Nyx, there's not a lot of stories about her, but there's tons of stories about Medea, and there's tons of stories about, you know, other, I don't know, there's tons of stories about like goddesses, but there's like very few like actual stories about Hecate, like very, very few, and only in a couple different, like there's just like a line on her Wikipedia that says like, some myths say that she married Aeetes. Like literally, it's like a line. So that's also a really fun reason I picked gods and goddesses for this series that I don't think got enough attention. And I also wanted some that were a little bit more obscure, so like I could have a little bit more creative license in doing what I wanted. But I'm kind of wondering if I should like say. If I say, maybe I won't save the live. Maybe I won't save this, and then it'll be like a secret for all of us here. I'm wondering if I should say. So basically, I've picked a myth that does not involve Hecate at all, a very, very popular Greek story. And I've adapted it into the plot line. So there's